All right. So today we're diving into something I think a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah.
And it's this idea of like, how do you become that authority magnet?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, how do you stop chasing clients and start attracting them instead?
Right.
And we are going to be talking about this using Carma Spence's advice from her Right to Lead newsletter,
Okay.
which is titled The Authority Magnet, 5 Steps to Attract Clients and Become the Go-To Expert.
It's funny because, Spence herself actually used to struggle with this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was stuck in that cycle of just like chasing opportunity after opportunity after opportunity before she really figured out how to like genuinely build that authority. So I think it's a really relatable starting point.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think it is something that like a lot of people, feel that pressure and almost that like scarcity mindset
Yeah,
that they have to just like take any client that comes their way.
totally. You feel like you can't say no. Exactly. And so she lays out these 5 steps. And the first one is stop chasing, start attracting.
Love it.
And it's not just like a mindset shift. She gives you really tactical advice.
Yeah.
And one of the things that really stood out to me was this idea of creating high-value content that tackles your ideal client's pain points head on.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I think, instead of thinking like a generic sales pitch, you're providing so much value before you even talk to them one-on-one.
Right.
So let's say, for example, you're like a financial advisor that specializes in helping young families like plan for their kids' college.
Okay.
So instead of just doing a generic post that's like save for the future or whatever it might be, you create like a downloadable guide that's called like the 5 biggest college savings mistakes parents make and how to avoid them.
Oh, I like that.
So it's like you're not just giving advice, you're giving solutions to a very specific problem.
And a problem that people are like actively looking to have solved.
Especially if you're talking about young families, they are stressed about that.
Totally.
So you're, like you say, providing value before
Before they even have to reach out.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so step 2 is borrow credibility and build social proof.
Yes.
This is where things get strategic.
Oh, absolutely. This is my favorite part.
Okay. Tell me more.
So Spence talks about this idea of transferable credibility, and it makes total sense because if you're seen alongside respected figures in your industry, some of their authority is going to rub off on you, right? It's not about name dropping, but it's about like strategically aligning yourself. So for example, let's say you get as a guest on a popular podcast in your industry.
Yeah.
That instantly gives you access to their established audience, right?
And like the trust that audience has in that podcast host.
Exactly.
Like transfers over to you.
Exactly. And Spence even recommends using tools like Source of Sources and Help a B2B Writer.
Well, those are great tools.
To actually find these opportunities. So she's giving us like tactical advice for how to...
Yeah, how to do it. Like not just the theory behind it.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, I like that. And she also reminds us about like just the power of visuals too. Saving those logos of places you've been featured or brands you've worked with and using those on your website.
Love that. That's like an instant credibility boost.
It's a quick signal to anyone who visits your site that you're the real deal.
Exactly. And like, you don't even have to say anything.
Exactly.
They just see it.
Yeah, you're just showing it.
It's subtle, but it works.
Yeah.
And then also Spence is really big on testimonials and case studies because that's third-party validation. So it's one thing for you to be like, I'm amazing.
Right.
But when other people are like, this person's amazing, that's when it really matters.
People trust what others say about you more than what you say about yourself. That's so true. There's also this cool pro tip she throws in.
Okay.
Which is like next time you're at an industry event.
Yeah.
And you chat with like a big name, grab a photo together.
Oh,
tag them on LinkedIn.
Smart.
Share a takeaway from your conversation.
I love that.
Bam. You've created content. You've shown that you're in the inner circle.
It's like multitasking at its finest.
Yes. And you've potentially reached their network too.
So good.
Like it's so smart. And that actually highlights another point that she makes, which is strategic partnerships.
Yeah.
So masterminds, collaborations, joint ventures, these position you as an insider.
Totally.
Someone who's not just on the periphery of your industry.
Right. Like you are in the know.
Yeah,
you are where things are happening.
Exactly. But like, let's be real. How many of us actually have access to like Tony Robbins?
Right. It can be really intimidating.
It can be.
To think like, oh, how am I going to get in front of these like huge influencers?
Exactly. Exactly.
But, you don't have to start there. Like, think about local business groups.
Okay.
Online communities that are really niche, or even like collaborating with people that maybe have just like a slightly larger audience than you do, right?
It's about being strategic and, like you said, starting somewhere.
Totally.
Like, you don't have to go straight to the top.
Exactly. And Spence also mentions that, like, testimonials, those are a form of social proof.
Right.
Like, you don't need to have just big names.
Exactly.
Like, testimonials from satisfied clients
Right.
go a long way.
Especially if you talk about specific results.
Yes. And case studies.
Oh, yes. Tell me about case studies.
They're like mini stories
Yeah.
of, like, how your expertise has helped people overcome a challenge.
Yeah, and people love stories.
Exactly.
And it's like a story that, like, really proves that you know what you're doing.
It's like proof in action.
So let's dive into step number 3, which is niche down and create your signature framework.
Yes.
I think this is where a lot of people get stuck.
It's hard.
It is.
Because it feels kind of counterintuitive.
It does. You want to help everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
I can do all the things.
Exactly. And you're like,
I can solve all the problems.
the more people I can help, the better.
Yeah.
Right? But Spence argues that actually narrowing your focus is what helps you stand out in this, like, crowded marketplace.
Think about it like this. When you need specialized help, do you go to a generalist or a specialist?
If I'm having heart problems, I'm not going to my family doctor.
You're going to a cardiologist.
I'm going to a cardiologist.
Right. So it's the same in the business world.
And it's not just about being specific. It's also about creating that signature framework,
Yeah.
right? That unique process or methodology that people associate with you.
That you're known for.
I love Spence's example of
Yeah.
client attracting book versus writing books,
Yeah.
right? Like, that's so smart because it instantly sets her apart.
Yes. And it speaks directly to her ideal client.
Yeah. So for you listening, like, what makes your approach unique? What are the core principles, the steps, the strategy?
What is your secret sauce?
Yeah, what's your secret sauce?
That you use to get your clients' results.
Right, and think about packaging that into something that's memorable and easy to understand. So it could be like a simple acronym. It could be a visual model. Maybe there's like a catchy phrase, just like encapsulates your approach.
Yeah, and that becomes your thing.
It becomes your thing.
Like, it's your intellectual property. It's your brand.
Yes.
It makes you stand out.
I love that. Okay, so this is where things get really interesting, especially for those of you who have maybe like a secret dream of writing a book.
Yeah.
So step 4, write a book to cement your authority.
It's powerful.
It is.
There's a reason why, people think of authors as like the experts.
Right.
It's more than just a collection of words.
Yeah.
It's like tangible proof of your knowledge, your experience, your perspective.
And there's something so powerful about holding a physical book
Oh, for sure.
with your name on it.
Yeah.
It's like you've taken all your expertise and, like, distilled it into this one thing.
I love that.
So Spence argues that a book does so much more than just boost your credibility.
Right.
It's like a lasting business card.
Totally.
It's something people keep and refer back to.
Yeah.
And unlike like a blog post or a social media update,
Yeah.
it has staying power.
It's there forever.
It's there forever.
It's not going anywhere.
So true. And this is where it gets really exciting for those of you who are looking to build like a thriving business. The third benefit Spence mentions is how a book opens doors
Oh, yeah.
to so many other opportunities.
Speaking engagements, media appearances,
Yes.
even landing those high-paying clients.
Right?
It's like, it just gives
Sizzle
you
up.
that platform and that credibility.
It's a signal flare,
Totally.
that you have something valuable to offer.
It says, I've arrived.
Yes, exactly. Now I know what you might be thinking.
Yeah.
Writing a book seems really daunting.
It is.
Yeah.
A big undertaking.
So remember Spence's advice. Start smaller,
Yeah.
right? Like a well-crafted guide or an ebook, even if it's just like 20 or 50 pages,
Totally.
can be a fantastic lead magnet.
Yes.
That showcases your expertise
Exactly.
and starts attracting those ideal clients.
It's like dipping your toes in
Yeah.
the water of authorship.
Okay, I like that. So we've talked about content, credibility, niching down, writing a book.
Okay.
Now let's move on to the final step.
Okay.
In Spence's authority blueprint, which is show up consistently and own your space.
This is huge.
It is.
Because it doesn't matter how brilliant you are,
Right.
how much expertise you have,
Yeah.
if no one knows you exist.
You're invisible.
You're invisible. It's like you're talking to a wall.
So building authority is as much about being visible as it is about having that knowledge and those skills.
100%.
And Spence makes this really interesting point about creating omnipresence.
I love this concept. Omnipresence.
It's like that feeling of being everywhere
Hmm.
in your niche.
Yeah.
And if you think about the people you consider authorities in your field,
Hmm.
they're probably popping up on your radar all the time. They're writing articles, they're speaking at events, they're being interviewed on podcasts.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
And this is key.
Yes.
You don't want to spread yourself too thin.
Okay.
So Spence recommends
Yes.
picking one platform to dominate this quarter.
So just one.
Just one.
I like that.
And show up consistently at least twice a week
Okay.
on that platform.
So it could be LinkedIn.
Yep.
It could be a specific online community within your niche.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a podcasting platform.
Yep.
It could even be like a specific social media channel.
Totally.
The key is focus.
And then expand from there.
Exactly.
Don't try to do it all at once.
Everywhere at once.
Okay. So consistency is key.
Huge.
Yeah.
The more you show up, engage with your audience,
Yeah.
the more you're solidifying yourself
Mm-hmm.
as that authority.
Exactly.
Okay, so now you might be thinking, all right, I get that I need to show up consistently,
Yeah.
but what should I actually be doing?
Right. Like, what does that look
Yeah,
like?
exactly.
And this is where it gets fun.
Okay,
Because there are so many possibilities.
okay,
So Spence suggests a few key strategies
okay.
that you can adapt to any platform you
Okay.
choose.
So, for example, you could start a podcast, right, and interview other experts in your field,
Mm-hmm.
or share your own insights and advice,
Yeah.
or you could focus on creating really high-quality content for LinkedIn,
Love it.
sharing articles,
Mhm.
engaging in industry discussions,
Yep.
building your network there.
Huge.
Another option could be writing guest blog posts for other websites in your niche, right, to reach a wider audience. And don't underestimate the power of being quoted as an expert
Oh, yeah.
in relevant articles and publications. And remember those tools we talked about? Like
Yes.
Source of Sources
Yes.
and Help a B2B Writer?
So good.
Those can be invaluable resources
Absolutely.
for finding those opportunities to be featured,
Yeah.
interviewed,
And quoted.
and quoted as an expert.
Exactly.
So the key is to be strategic, consistent, and authentic in your approach.
Don't just blast out content for
With
the
it.
sake of it.
Yeah, it has to have like a point.
A purpose.
Yeah.
And it has to be good.
It has to be good.
It has to provide value.
Right.
It has to build those relationships.
Yeah.
And it has to showcase your expertise in a way that resonates with people.
So as we're wrapping up our exploration of Spence's authority blueprint,
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Of these 5 steps, is there one that particularly stands out to you as maybe like the most important or the most challenging?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I think each step
Yeah.
really builds on each other. It
Okay.
creates that synergy.
Yeah.
But I think the real magic happens
Mm-hmm.
when you actually take action,
Yes.
even if it's just one small step at a time.
I love that. It's
Yeah.
easy to get caught up in like all the how-tos of building authority.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Spence's final question in her newsletter is so important.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
She asks, which of these authority building steps will you focus on first?
I love that.
It's like that call to action.
Yeah,
It's like-
putting it back on us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like she's saying, okay, you've got the blueprint. Now what are you going to do with it?
Now go do it. It's
Go.
not enough to just listen. You have to actually take action.
So thinking back on everything we talked about today,
Yeah.
what really resonated with you? What stood out to you?
Yeah.
Was it that idea of crafting laser-focused content,
Mm-hmm.
that speaks directly to your ideal client's pain points?
Totally.
Or maybe it was the strategic approach to borrowing credibility by aligning yourself with other established voices in your field.
Yeah.
Maybe you're feeling inspired to finally define your niche and create that signature framework that sets you apart.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe the idea of writing a book, even a shorter guide, has sparked a fire in your belly.
That's a good one.
And let's not forget that importance of consistent visibility.
Oh, so important.
What if you committed to dominating
Yeah.
just one platform this quarter?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine the impact that could have
Oh, huge.
on your authority and your business.
Yeah.
The beauty of Spence's blueprint is that it's flexible.
Right.
You can start with whichever step feels most aligned with you, your goals, your resources.
Your energy levels.
Right, your energy levels. Exactly.
You know where you are in your business.
Right. The important thing is to take action.
Yeah.
Even if it's just one small step today,
Totally.
maybe you'll brainstorm a list of content ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you'll reach out to a potential collaborator for a podcast interview. Or maybe you'll start sketching out that outline for your signature framework.
Or commit to posting on LinkedIn 3 times this week.
Right.
You know?
It doesn't have to be this big, overwhelming thing.
Totally.
Just start somewhere.
One step at a time.
Remember, building authority is a journey.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
I love that. And who knows? Maybe one day we'll be featuring you on this very deep dive, sharing your expertise and insights with the world.
That would be awesome.
So until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep building that authority magnet.
That's the key.
Thanks for listening.